Good morning and welcome to another video. It's the second annual backyard bird count party that we're doing here at my friend Ben's place. I'm really excited. We're going to be doing some backyard birding. We're going to play some Wingspan. We're going to go on a birding adventure. It should be an awesome day and a really fun video. First, let me get the feeders set up. We're working with a few feeders here. We have this feeder pole over here and a bird feeder mounted on the wall. As my friend Ben was saying, this feeder over here has kind of just become the sacrificial squirrel feeder. So we might just put kind of whatever in here and see what ends up coming to it. These squirrels they have no fear. So the plan is to take this feeder and put a bunch of finch mix in it. That's Niger seed and some cracked sunflower seeds. That should be pretty good for them. And then I'm gonna scatter some seeds on the ground in hopes of bringing in some more juncos to be able to film too. So goldfinches love this mix, and I'm hopeful we'll get a few that are interested. We of course have a suet cage too for downy woodpecker that likes to hang out around here. Yeah, these seed blends are interesting that he's been using a little bit. It's mostly millet left over because the birds pick through and don't often eat the millet. So I'm gonna be putting in a signature deluxe blend with black oil sunflower seed, striped sunflower seed, and safflower seed. And I think that should do pretty well. Then the hope is that this brush here will be good spots for the juncos and stuff to hide, and they'll go pick at some of the seed that falls in the ground from there or from this thing here. So I think we got a pretty good setup. We should get some good backyard birds. So with the feeders all set with some quality black oil sunflower seed and the finch feeder hanging up with its Niger and sunflower chips, we're pretty much ready to go. And then interestingly too, we have a good chance for flyover gulls to be counted in our backyard list for the day. So that should be pretty fun to try and watch for any birds that come over. And then if we're really lucky, we might get a hawk come through. There was one on the exit off the highway, just like probably half mile that way. So that would be really neat to be able to add that to a backyard list, though it would scare away all the other birds most likely. But seeds in place, I'm gonna go away for a bit. Hopefully the birds start to come in and see it and we get some stuff to film. The other awesome part about my friend's house is he has a great window to look through the backyard at. As you can see, the birds were starting to make their way back to the feeders. I decided to start filming birds in the front yard though to give them a little bit more time. Our first bird of the day was a Eurasian collared dove high up in the tree in his front yard. We also had some starlings that hung around pretty consistently throughout the day. They never really stopped chattering, but that's okay. That's just the nature of some of these birds. And then off in the distance in a different tree, there was an American robin. So we were starting off with some pretty common birds. I got to work setting my camera up to film some of the backyard birds after they were settled in for the day. As you can see, Jordan from Bright Eyed Birding is joining me here on this adventure and second annual backyard bird count. His channel is going to be linked in the description below. You definitely want to go check it out to see what he makes from the day and see some of his other awesome content. But moving on to the birds, the most prominent bird of our day was certainly the house sparrow. Now these birds are very common in the urbanized and just like areas where people live in Salt Lake County. They're around a lot and they were definitely our most numerous bird throughout the day. The most numerous seed consumer were probably these guys though. The squirrels were all over. That is just the nature of feeding backyard birds though. Thankfully, it seemed like scattering seeds in the ground worked because I did get a few dark-eyed juncos on camera. They were tough because they moved around a lot and very quickly. So I turned my attention back to the house sparrows for a second, and then out of the corner of my eye, well, maybe right in the front of my eye after I looked over at them, we had some pops of yellow. This was, of course, goldfinches. Finally, after about an hour, they came in to inspect the feeder setups. They were a little cautious and hesitant to drop down for a bit, but they eventually got over their fears and made their way to the feeders and back and forth to the trees. It was really good to add these flashes of yellow in this kind of overall gloomy, overcast kind of day. I really do love seeing goldfinches in the backyard. It's been pretty good back here so far. Now, if you've watched my backyard bird video party from last year, you'll have known we had seen a lot more species, and my hypothesis, Jordan and I's hypothesis right now, is it's likely due to seed quality. So my friend is not a huge birder, but he does a great job of taking care of his backyard. He's starting to cultivate a wildflower meadow, and he puts seed out for the birds, but he just picks up a seed he finds at his local store. Now, he did an awesome job of getting one without cracked corn, without milo, but his seed blend he did get has black oil sunflower seed, great. It has shelled peanuts. Those are pretty good. You might get woodpeckers and other things grabbing those, but then it has a lot of white millet. Like 50% of the seed is white millet. And that's not the worst. You can spread that on the ground and some birds will eat that, like juncos might pick at that. But I think it brought in a ton of house sparrows. And when I went to change out the seeds on the feeders here this morning with some of the stuff that I brought over, the feeders were full of millet and a bunch of shells from the sunflower seeds. That's evidence to me that they're eating the sunflower seeds and leaving the other stuff. They didn't really want the millet, so it looked like the feeder was full, but it was full of a bunch of stuff they didn't want. Now, my recommendation for backyards is to really focus on black oil sunflower seed, but then also put up something specifically for finches. Now, finches love Niger seed, and there's also make some really good blends that have Niger seed and a bunch of pieces of sunflower seeds, so like little bits of it. That's the mix I generally use for my goldfinches in the area. So yeah, once I got the black oil sunflower seed in there, the finch mix there, the goldfinches came within like 15 minutes. But still, you can't expect birds to come instantly like that, so they don't know these feeders have been here for a while. It takes birds a while to find a feeder, so that's kind of why we think there's not as much diversity of species this time around. Still great though. I do love seeing all these house sparrows. They are an invasive species and they can kind of be bullies and kick some other birds out, but it's not their fault that they have made their way here to the US. People have introduced them and moved them throughout the areas. They're still cool birds to watch in their own right, and it's one of our most common backyard birds, so we have to learn to coexist with them. Generally, not a huge diversity at the moment. We're really hoping the woodpecker comes back here in a sec so we can get some good footage of it. I didn't take any videos this morning, so I was too busy setting up for the event, but thought that was it for a second. The big bird that came in, just another house sparrow. But even if we didn't get a ton of diversity here, I still do think we have some great adventures ahead of us today. So I'm looking forward to getting out birding. I'm looking forward to playing some Wingspan. But yeah, we're gonna sit here for a little bit more, see if we see any other birds, and I will check back in soon. The house sparrows continued to dominate the proceedings here in the backyard, and they made their home in this cherry tree in the corner. They were moving around all throughout the branches, back and forth to the feeders and their perching spots. It was still, though, hard not to focus on these beautiful lesser goldfinch.
Alright, good practice. Yeah, this is really fiber, but it's also pretty sturdy for being light. I only have 2 issues with it so far. This video has...
And these are the goldfinch in their non-breeding plumage. When it comes summertime, they get even more vibrant yellow, which is really cool to see, especially American goldfinch. One bird I haven't mentioned yet is another one of our most common species. You can see a few house finch here mixed in with the house sparrows. Those are pretty much always around in someone's backyard setup as well. They are very numerous for sure. If you catch a male with its bright red pattern on its chest too, they are also really, really beautiful birds. And then, like I mentioned from earlier in the day, I was hoping for flyover gulls, and we did get a few, though I was not able to identify these because they were pretty high up there. Feeling satisfied with the backyard birds we did see, it was time to turn our attention to the board game of the day, Wingspan, with the new Americas expansion. This was my first time playing this expansion, and I was really excited to try out the new hummingbird mechanics added to the game. It was a pretty fun game overall. It took a lot longer than expected with 5 people and this new feature and mechanism added that we had to learn and do during our turns. But it was so fun hanging out with my friends, chatting away, and trying out this new element of one of my favorite board games, if not my favorite board game. Now, while playing the game, we did keep our eyes on the window, and we filmed a few more birds during the time we were playing. I was really excited to see a northern flicker come in, because this isn't always a bird you'll see in a backyard, though it's not a super uncommon bird to Salt Lake County, so pretty cool to get this species onto our list. One bird I did miss that Jordan happened to film was a downy woodpecker, so you want to make sure to check out his video when it gets released as well, because he got a species I didn't see. But after a few hours of playing Wingspan, it is time to announce the winner. Wow. First off, I need to show you this just foolish shirt that I'm wearing. But secondly, I won Wingspan. Took a lot longer with the new expansion, that's for sure, but I kind of killed everyone. I was first by like 20 points, so that was a good game. All right, we're on the birding adventure now, finally. Wingspan took a little longer than anticipated, so we're working against the light a little bit here, and Jordan's got plans that he's got to get to at some point. So, yeah, but we're going to hopefully find some rarities. We are along the Jordan River between 2100 and 2500 south. There's been a Ross's goose reported consistently here for a couple of weeks now, and I actually saw it a couple of weeks back when I wasn't making a video. I was just going out for a nature walk and got it on my life list, which was awesome, but hoping to put it on video for all of you to see too, because it's a really cool looking goose. And then if we're lucky and we still have time, we're gonna go check out a golf course just a little bit north of here where the long-tailed duck have been seen, a pair of them actually. So should be fun. Come along with us. This guy's on a mission. Now, if I could wave a magic wand and give us a few more hours of that Wingspan game back for our birding adventure, I probably would. Having to go fast is not my favorite way to bird. I do like to spend a little more time with each species getting some great videos and photos. Still though, we were limited on time, so we were going pretty fast. We picked up a really awesome spotted sandpiper that flew just over the river and landed on the bank. This was a rare out-of-season bird, which was awesome. But our main target was that Ross's goose, so every flock of Canada geese we saw, we looked through eagerly hoping to see that bright white bird. Now this bird did excite us because we saw the white, but this is a domestic gray leg goose and not our target. What's even worse news is when I saw this bird earlier in the week, it was in a flock with the gray leg goose, so this led us to believe that it might be gone, unfortunately. But here's a photo of what the goose looks like from that previous encounter that I was on, so I hope you do appreciate at least seeing it in this respect. And here's the gray leg goose from a few weeks back. Still, we persevered looking through some of the other species here. Some cedar waxwings up in the tree were really cool. And then we continued back around towards the way we came from, where we had parked, looking at some of the other birds along the way. I don't know what it is, but out of all the ducks, goldeneye might be one of my favorite, and I really love these shots I got here because it shows you the difference between the common goldeneye and the Barrow's goldeneye, at least the males. You can see the Barrows here on the far right, and the ones on the left are common goldeneye. Let's take a look at some photos just to look at this more in depth. Right in the middle is our Barrow's goldeneye, and you can tell its head shape is slightly different. One of the other big tells too is that spot in front of its eye is a lot more crescent shaped opposed to blob-like from the common goldeneye. And lastly, on these males, the wing is also a lot blacker. Those white spots are more pronounced because they're surrounded by black feathers, whereas the common goldeneye has a lot more white on its flank from those feathers. Here's a closer look at another Barrow's goldeneye from later in the day, just to see some of those features like that crescent shape and those wing spots a little bit more closely. The adventures and birding continued though as we made our way away from this hotspot and a little bit more north under a bridge towards where the Glendale Golf Course is. Now there's been a pair of long-tailed ducks seen here for about a month, I would say, or maybe a couple weeks. I forget which one was longer, the goose or the two ducks. We were just kind of seeing more of the same though. A lot more goldeneye and a few common waterfowl like the American coot. Kind of fun to see them on land with those big webbed feet though. And then we also had a couple of mallards too. But Kind of a cool addition to the day were some ringneck ducks. I did love seeing these birds. And as we reached the end of the canal, some ruddy ducks rounded out our day. That bluebill a lot more muted because it's the non-breeding season. I'm certainly excited to see some of these birds come summertime though. Well, kind of unfortunate, we missed on a Ross's goose, and we also seem to be missing on the long-tailed duck here. Most people show up to this golf course and it's just out here, but we're here now. Didn't see anything. Still really awesome to get such close views of goldeneye and some ringneck duck. I think this is probably like the closest I've ever been able to get to them, so I loved that. But it's always a bit of a bummer when you have a few targets that you don't hit. Still a nice little walkout. Good to see some cool birds though, regardless. That is gonna wrap up the second annual backyard bird count get together and adventure we kind of do for this day. Might be some big plans coming next year. I think this is going to be a regular occurring thing that we try and do every year for the backyard bird count. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. Thank you as always for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Happy birding.